Did you know? Just 100 years ago, showing your ankles in public was considered immoral, including in Europe. Women wore full, modest clothing across the world. What if I told you that the way women dress today, the bikinis, the crop tops, the revealing fashion celebrated across every screen you own, was not a natural evolution of human freedom? What if it was engineered? What if the trillion-dollar industries, the Hollywood studios, the social media algorithms, and the most powerful media companies on Earth all had one thing in common? They all profit when women feel insecure. And what if the women who choose to cover up, the ones called backwards, oppressed, and traditional, what if they are actually the ones exercising real freedom? Welcome to our channel. In the next few minutes, we are going to take you on a journey through real history, real psychology, and real economics that will completely change how you see women's fashion forever. This is not an attack on any woman. This is not about religion alone. This is about truth. And the truth has been hidden from almost everyone. Almost. What did women actually wear throughout history? Let's start at the beginning. The real beginning. For thousands of years, across every continent, every religion, every civilization, women covered their bodies. This was not oppression. This was not backwardness. This was simply the global human standard. In ancient Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, women of status wore layered robes that covered them from neck to ankle. Showing skin was associated with lower social class, not freedom. In ancient Greece and Rome, civilizations the Western world calls the foundation of modern culture, women wore the peplos and stola, long draped garments covering the full body. The Roman matron who covered herself was respected. The woman who exposed herself was considered shameless. Move forward to medieval Europe, 500 AD to 1400 AD. European Christian women covered their hair, wore floor-length dresses, and considered an exposed wrist immodest in many regions. This was not Islamic culture. This was not Eastern culture. This was European, Christian culture. The Renaissance period, the 1400s and 1500s, brought art, science, and beauty to Europe. And even in this golden age of European civilization, women in paintings wore high necklines, full sleeves, and long skirts. The beauty standard was dignified and covered. Move to the 1700s. The 1800s. The Victorian era. Women in England, France, Germany, and America wore corsets, long petticoats, full sleeves, and hats. Going to the beach meant wearing a full wool dress, with weights sewn into the hem, so the water wouldn't lift the fabric and expose an ankle. An ankle. They were protecting an ankle. That was Europe. That was the West. Just 150 years ago. So before anyone calls modest dressing backwards, remember, that is the Western tradition. The covering is the original European standard. What came after was the experiment. How did everything change so fast? So how did the world go from women protecting their ankles to bikinis being the global norm in less than 100 years? It didn't happen naturally. It happened in stages. And each stage was pushed by industry, by media, and by war. Stage 1, World War I, 1914 to 1918. With millions of men gone to war, women entered the workforce in massive numbers. Practical clothing became necessary. Hemlines rose slightly out of necessity. This was genuine and understandable change. Stage 2, the 1920s, the Roaring Twenties. After the trauma of war, Western society, particularly in America and France, entered a period of rebellion. Flappers, jazz, shorter hair, slightly shorter skirts. The first real public push against traditional modesty, driven by a generation that had survived devastation and wanted to live loudly. But even in the wild 1920s, women were still largely covered. And here's a fact almost nobody knows today. In 1920s America, police officers patrolled beaches with measuring tapes. If a woman's swimsuit was more than 6 inches above the knee, she was arrested. Arrested. For showing too much knee. That was America. 100 years ago. Stage 3. World War II. And this is where everything changed forever. The most revealing origin story in fashion history. 1942. The United States is deep in World War II. Resources are scarce. The government is rationing everything: metal, rubber, food, and fabric. The U.S. War Production Board issues a directive: women's swimwear must use 10% less fabric. Immediately. This was a wartime order, not a fashion statement. Designers comply. Two-piece swimsuits begin appearing, not to liberate women, but to save cotton for soldiers' uniforms. Then comes July 5, 1946. In Paris, France, a car mechanic turned fashion designer named Louis Reard unveils something the world had never seen in modern times. 4 triangles of fabric, held together by string. He calls it the bikini. Why that name? Because 4 days earlier, on July 1, 1946, the United States detonated a nuclear bomb on a tiny Pacific island called Bikini Atoll. The explosion shook the world. Reard believed his design would cause a similar explosion in society. He was right. But here's what the fashion magazines never tell you. The design was so shocking, so scandalous, that no professional model in Paris would agree to wear it. Not one. Reard had to hire a 19-year-old nude dancer named Micheline Bernardini to model his creation. The Catholic Church immediately condemned it. Italy banned it. Spain banned it. Portugal banned it. Belgium banned it. Pope Pius XII personally declared the bikini sinful. Even in France, where it was created, most beaches banned it for years. The entire world, including the Western world, rejected it. So how did it go from globally banned to globally celebrated in just 20 years? 2 words. Hollywood movies. How films rewired an entire generation's mind. Understand something fundamental about human psychology. We do not learn only from experience. We learn from stories, from images, from the people we admire and want to be like. Hollywood understood this better than anyone. In 1952, just 6 years after the bikini was banned across Europe, a French film called Menina, the girl in the bikini, put the two-piece swimsuit on the big screen. Millions of young women watched it. They didn't see a banned garment. They saw a glamorous, confident, beautiful woman. They wanted to be her. Then in 1962, the moment that changed everything. The first James Bond film. Dr. No. A woman walks out of the Caribbean Ocean in a white bikini. The camera lingers. The music swells. James Bond, the most glamorous, sophisticated man on screen, stares at her like she is the most desirable creature on earth. In that single scene, Hollywood told an entire generation of women, this is what desirable looks like. This is what freedom looks like. This is what a modern woman looks like. That scene was watched by hundreds of millions of people worldwide. Then music joined the campaign. In 1960, Brian Hyland recorded a song called Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini. It went to #1 on the charts. It played on every radio in America. Teenagers heard it, laughed at it, sang along to it, and went to the beach wanting to wear one. This is how normalization works. You don't force people to change. You make them want to change. You make the new thing glamorous. You make the old thing embarrassing. You repeat it through every screen, every speaker, every magazine, until one day the generation that resisted it dies, and the generation that grew up with it thinks it was always normal. This is not a theory. This is the documented, proven, historical process of cultural change through media. And it was only getting started.